Welcome to Between the Shelves. No? Take two?
No, you committed to the character.
Okay. The premier Save a Library podcast. I am your host, Alex, and on this episode, we are celebrating...
This sounds like Dracula.
Well, it shows you how much I know about the topic of this episode.
They're adjacent.
I would love to see a vampire adaptation of the Phantom of the Opera.
It would work.
I did just give
Spoiler
it away.
alert.
Let's introduce ourselves first. Welcome to Between the Shelves, the premier Save a Library podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and I'm joined this week by...
Me.
And...
Me?
And
Also me.
This is going to be an unhinged episode. Let's go around the table again.
Tory.
Meg.
Kristina.
The usuals.
Should we also say our jobs?
It's unnecessary. We're all Phantom fans.
That's our job today.
It's
Phantoms.
It's just fans.
Librarian second.
So we are celebrating the Phantom of the Opera for its 100th anniversary of the film. Of a film. The first film. And we're going to get into it today. We have some Broadway experienced guest hosts here, and
We
me.
did experience it.
Yes. And maybe we should start by discussing our familiarity with the property. Tory, would you like to get things started?
Sure. I have not been familiar with Phantom of the Opera until very recently. 2 years ago, I spent lots of years only watching a single video of Antonio Banderas singing the song, which was it's a really good video. But I never went to see it on Broadway because I thought I had all the time in the world because it was always there. And then it was closing, so then I went to see it with Meg. So that was the first time I ever saw it. Well, that was the first time I saw that version of it. I did see a different version that we'll get to before that is worse. But my main familiarity with it is through Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera musical.
All right. What about you, Meg?
So like Tori just said, I did see the closing weekend of the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical on Broadway a couple of years ago. But about 20 years ago, I did have a Phantom of the Opera phase as a child after seeing not the original movie. And so I did go to see it on Broadway in elementary school with my family, which is crazy because now that I think about it, my younger brother, who is also very into it, had to be in kindergarten. And that is not a show.
It's a show for all ages.
It's not a show for all ages. And I was disturbed a couple of years ago when I realized the ages of my siblings and I when we were really into the Phantom of the Opera. So there was that. And then recently this week, I have experienced, somewhat against my will, 2 additional Phantom of the Opera experiences that I'm sure we'll be getting into today. So, Kristina?
Kristina, you were party to this as well.
I first saw it on Broadway in 2014-ish. Norm Lewis was his first week as the Phantom, which was big. It was huge. Yeah. And then I was obsessed with it for a while, I guess, as it happens for a particular kind of...
It does happen, doesn't it?
For a particular kind of person.
A person in this room, some might even say.
All girls must have a Phantom phase.
Right, Alex?
He's a sad boy.
I'll take your word for
He's
it.
quintessential sad boy, so really my oeuvre, I guess.
There's a couple sad boys in it. And Alex. Sorry, what is your...
Famous fan of sad boys.
My experience with Phantom is I know I've seen the Gerard Butler 2004, I think is when it came out. Film adaptation of Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical.
Certainly a film of all time.
I know I've seen it. I don't remember a single thing about it.
And you did not rewatch it for this
And I
podcast.
did not rewatch it because I'm sure it's not good. But I have seen the original 1925 Universal horror classic, which I very much enjoyed.
Sort of.
And for this episode, I watched the 25th anniversary Royal Albert Hall live performance.
So you've heard the music of the night.
Yes, which I also enjoyed, and that is my experience with Phantom.
Can I add something to my own experience? You talking about the Gerard Butler adaptation reminded me that there was a time when I found the script from that movie online and did download it and then did reenact various scenes with one of my friends on a sleepover.
Would you like to give a shout out to the friend?
Shout out to Jenny. Doubt you listen to this. You are a Save a Library patron, though, as far as I know. So shout out to you. You probably don't remember that happening.
Were you the Phantom or Christine?
I'm pretty sure we didn't get past the first scene, which was the auction.
The auction. So who was Raoul?
And who's the monkey?
And who's the monkey?
I think in a way we were all the monkey.
So true.
Anyway, 2004 was a great time. To reiterate, I was in the 4th grade. So normal things.
Thourth.
Yes.
Can we talk about that opening scene for a second while you've conjured it?
Always.
So I've only seen the 1925 film, which is pretty close to the novel that it's based off of, and then Andrew Lloyd Webber makes a lot of changes.
A lot.
This opening scene with the auction, the bells
Of Notre Dame?
This opening auction scene was not in the film. I don't know if it's in the novel or not, but was it really necessary? I'm not really sure why it was included.
It's to link to the past.
But they never go back to the future.
No, but that's why we're hearing the story. Oh. It's connecting us to the rest of the story.
From what I understand, it's actually only in the musical for the spectacle of the chandelier.
Right.
They had to come up with a framework for why you would be seeing it like that.
Mm-hmm.
An old Raoul.
And so that you can see it raised and then unraised again.
And then raised up again.
And then raised up again.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
In a way, the musical really is only about the chandelier.
Mm-hmm.
It is the main much like New York City is often a character in a movie. The chandelier is a character in Phantom of the Opera.
The main character of Phantom of the Opera.
Shall we start by maybe describing a little bit of the plot so that listeners who aren't familiar, because there are consistencies across all of the versions.
Elements.
Somewhat. So it is the story of the Paris Opera House in the 18-somethings.
In Paris, France.
Not Paris, Texas. There is a corps de ballet and some opera going on there, and featured is in some way is a girl named Christine Daae, who is talented in a way that people are surprised by and suspicious of, because she's secretly being trained by a grotesque man who lives underneath the opera house and haunts it under the nom de plume of the Phantom of the Opera. And there are mysterious reasons that change from adaptation to adaptation of why he's there and what his goals are. And so he causes trouble. And that's
sure does. He gets into all sorts of
scamp.
hijinks.
What a rascal.
Does he wear a mask in every iteration?
He
of the
usually
show?
does.
Yeah.
They do. So I started reading a little bit of the book because I wanted to know how close that 1929-25 movie was to it. And they do frequently mention that he has a death's head on his forehead. And when I looked that up, because I thought that was a moth, which I learned from Hannibal, the TV show, it's also another word for like a skull. So I guess they're describing that his mask looks sort of like a skull, which sometimes is true.
Often describe him as noseless.
They do. And in that first movie, he certainly is noseless.
Yeah. I can't speak to the novel, but there are definitely some differences, including the Phantom's motivations and backstory, especially.
And there's questionable, like, how willing is Christine to be a part of whatever relationship they have. That changes depending on...
Yeah, Andrew Lloyd Webber changes the genre of this story entirely. Probably, well... He does a different take on it. I'll say that. It's not good, better, or worse, but it's different. And Christine's character evolves quite a bit from the 20s and the novel, where she's very much a passive character in the original film, and takes on a much more. She's the protagonist essentially in the musical.
So let's talk about the anniversary version a little bit then, the 1920s version, which we keep saying 1925, and Christina said kind of. Do you want to explain why?
So the original 1925 movie was reshot and recut a few years later, and then the original was lost and maybe found again like 25 years later. And basically what they keep doing is recutting it in different ways. So I saw multiple different versions of it on different platforms while I was trying to figure out which one to watch. So there is a version also that's not silent. But
they added vocals to it.
They added vocals to it, but then like also briefly lost that part of it as well.
They really keep trying with this version of it, don't they?
At what point were the vocals added?
I think in the 1929 version, but it's not the guy who plays the Phantom. It's not him because he was under contract with a different studio and they were not allowed to use his voice.
Him being Lon Chaney, the man of 1,000 faces.
And what a face he has in this film.
Or lack of.
I'm not sure which version I saw of this. It was not voiced. It was the silent film. In the opening of the film, it says it was a recent restoration of the film. I think it was done in like the 2019 or so, around there.
So I watched one that was like recut, partially in color, partially not in color. They also changed the ending of the original and also changed one of the characters.
Let's talk about this character.
The Persian.
So
from the novel.
Part of the development of Phantom has been they really removed this character of the Persian, who is an inspector who's like investigating the Phantom. He's in the novel. He's in the 1925 movie. But they changed his name because I think they realized already that it was a problem that he was the Persian.
Well, they changed it after it had already come out when they recut it.
Are you talking about Secret Policeman Ledoux?
Yes.
Yeah. Who is, in the version we watched, pretending to be a Persian man, but he's really a police inspector.
A non-Persian police inspector.
A non-Persian, but it is played by someone who apparently has played only shady
He looks
men.
At times scarier than the Phantom in the film.
There is a scene in the beginning where he just appears down in the catacombs and they see him and they say, could that be the ghoul?
The ghoul?
Well, he's got a lot of names.
Wow.
But
Wait, I'm sorry, we'll cut this if we're jumping too far ahead, but are you talking about like the floating head that is like a messenger? Okay.
No, I did wonder about that. I did. We're talking about the 1929.
There is a floating head messenger.
So let's skip to the end of 1929 because the rest of it is pretty standard. Yes. So they're down looking for Christine, who has been kidnapped, as she tends to do.
By the ghoul.
By the ghoul himself. And then they're standing still, and then out of the darkness, a man appears, and he says, get out while you can. This is my warning. He says he's like a servant of the Phantom, but he never appears before or after that and doesn't explain who he is or where he came from.
And he has a floating head.
He looks like one because it's dark. He's got a candle.
Yeah, but he's always in the shadows and you only see his head. So it appears like he's a floating head.
And there's no explanation.
There's no explanation at all.
Because as far as we know, Eric is the Phantom. He really has no friends in this version besides Christine.
It's definitely like giving vampire vibes, where like this is like a mind-controlled servant or something. This part of the film, I think, is missing a lot of footage, like because in the restoration and the recuts, there's a lot of big skips in this section of the film where like some dramatic cuts where you're like, there is definitely a transition scene here that is missing because characters are just popping in and out all over the place.
Sort of like a Scooby-Doo chase scene. It comes off kind of.
Whole scenes that have never been recovered.
Yeah. I don't want to skip through this movie too quickly because I literally have nothing else to talk about after we move on from this. I just want to say the sets in this movie are very impressive.
Oh, sure.
And the movie looks fantastic. I think it holds up very well. It's definitely worth a watch. I mean, this is right up there with Frankenstein and all the Universal horror movies of the time.
I can't agree, but I could see why people do think that.
I feel like I read that the success of this movie is really what got them to commit to the Universal monsters.
And hire the Phantom's own son to be several.
Mm-hmm.
Christina, the versions that you saw, how did they do the coloration? Did they have like the big one color washes of it, or was it truly black and white?
It was
like the tints.
It was tints, it was black and white, and it was in color.
Okay.
Are you talking about the version that was on Hoopla?
There are two versions on Hoopla.
Oh, because mine just had tints in black and white.
Yeah, the Masquerade was in full color.
Wow.
Now, when you say full color, was it two tones?
No, it was they were pink dress. Maybe two tones, like pink dresses, red dresses. Like it was
colorized.
Yeah.
All right, then we must have. That must have been the version that I saw because most of the film was one tone, and then the Masquerade ball and I think maybe one or two other scenes they would have, it was two tones. It was literally just two colors, but the way they overlapped it kind of had a 3D effect, like you're wearing 3D glasses, like red and blue. It was really, really well done. I thought it was very cool. And the scene where they're up on the roof and the Phantom's kind of stalking Raoul and Christine, that scene, the background was in blue, but the Phantom was in red, which is a really cool effect as well. It was obviously not apparent in the original 20s version, but I think it was well done.
Well, I think it was in the 1929 version.
So I can see why this movie's been recut and redone a bunch of times, because there are elements of both versions that I think work well. I don't think adding voices to it was necessary, but yeah, I think the score, they redid parts of the score too in the 29 version.
The score that I watched was from like 2012 or something. It was like re-recorded.
There was a character in this that I do want to bring up because he will become relevant later. That is not in every version, and his name is Philippe de Chagny. He's the Count, and Raoul, the famous character who is the boyfriend of Christine, is the Viscount. Philippe is his older brother, and he does die in this. And then we will not hear about him again for a while once we move on, so I just wanted to bring him up.
Also, the ending of this is different from the musicals.
Wildly different.
Are we allowed to spoil something from the 1920s?
Yes.
That's the ending.
In this one, the Phantom is essentially beaten to death by townspeople.
An angry mob.
In the catacombs?
They come down there. But
No,
he also
the mobs?
out in the streets.
he drives a car at some point.
Yes,
doesn't
he does drive a car at some point. Or I think it's a carriage. Maybe, because it's the 1800s. But apparently what happened is they filmed the original ending where he just essentially lets everyone go and I guess dies of a broken heart. But audiences didn't really like that. So they refilmed it for him to get his comeuppance.
I get that. Like, when I heard reports that, like, when this movie was released, like, there were people fainting in the audience when they reveal, like, the Don Lon Chaney's face. Yeah, the makeup. So I could see why audiences were like, this monster needs to be killed at the end of this movie, definitively. Yeah.
Violently.
Definitely the scariest Phantom I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
It also had one of my favorite lines in it, which was, "Will you be the bride of Eric?"
That's how I proposed to my wife.
And the answer was very different that time. Yeah, it is it leans the most into horror out of all of the versions I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the ending is very abrupt. And the final shot is they throw him in a river, and you see some bubbles coming up as if, like, teasing for a sequel.
The end, question mark?
Yeah, basically. So we're still waiting. It's been 100 years. I don't know if the sequel is going to come out anytime soon, but...
So there's an intermediate one that I don't think anyone else but me has seen that I would like to bring up. It's called Phantom of the Opera from 1943, starring Claude Rains. This version of it changed everything about the story, kept barely any framework. I saw it on Svengoolie once. So all the names are different. The Phantom's name is Eric Claudine. Christine's name is Christine Dubois instead of Christine Daae.
She's not allowed to be Swedish anymore.
No. Raoul's name is Raoul Dubert. And there's it's a love triangle. There's another character named Anatole Garonne. So the story of this one is...
I'm sorry, wasn't there already a love triangle?
It's a love square now.
No, it's still a triangle. I'll get to it.
Okay.
So in this one, Eric, Erique, instead of the usual K, Eric works for the Paris Opera as a violinist. But he's an older guy, and he starts to lose his ability to play the violin. Like, his hands aren't working like they used to. So he gets fired. And so he's spurred on to do his thing because he's really upset that he got fired after he had such a long, important career at the Paris Opera House. So he comes back and haunts the building because of that. And meanwhile, Christine Dubois is trying to fend off the advances of Raoul and Anatole, who both like her. And then they have like a comedic rivalry with each other. And then at the end, she picks neither of them. And the Phantom also is not with her because he's just an older guy who's there. And so everything just sort of resolves itself. It's very unusual because it was after such a popular version, so people would know the story, and they said, we're not going to do any of that. We're going to change everything.
I wonder if that was for like copyright reasons or something.
Not sure.
If that was even a thing then. I don't know.
No, it was probably in the public domain, because it basically went right into the public domain because the studio just did not care about it.
It might have been a vehicle because Claude Rains was very popular, so they wanted to give him more to do, because the Phantom doesn't like say much or do much besides just be creepy. And this one wasn't really a horror either. It was more of like a dramedy.
Famous Phantom of the Opera scholar Lindsay Ellis cites that as probably the best ending.
The one in the 1943 version?
Yeah.
And what is the ending? You said it resolves itself, but how?
I don't remember what happens to the Phantom, but the
and also dramatically.
I don't remember the ending of what happens to the Phantom, but Raoul and Anatole are just like, well, we're buddies now because she doesn't want us. So let's go hang out together.
We simply have to be with each other.
That does sound good.
It's pretty much that. And I think the Phantom probably dies because he's not needed anymore.
Thing.
Yeah. So that's all I really have to say about that version.
I am upset because I did find out about Phantom of the Mall with Pauly Shore, and I did not get to watch it.
That might have been a blessing to you. There are a lot of adaptations.
There are a lot of adaptations, yeah. I was trying to motivate myself to watch the one with starring Freddy Krueger.
Charles Dance?
Charles Dance?
No.
He's in that one?
No, he's in a different one.
Oh.
He's in, I don't remember which one he's in. He punches a deer that's made of plastic, and for some reason they left the audio in of his fist hitting the plastic deer.
So you have seen it?
No, I've just seen that clip.
Okay. There's also Alex and I found out when we were doing some research. There's a version by Dario Argento that's like a giallo version.
Two versions.
He did remake his own movie with his own daughter.
I heard that's the worst one.
I've also heard that.
It can't be because we've seen a worse one.
That's true. I just needed to add that I've never heard of Phantom of the Mall. So a quick Google search did inform me that the full title of that is Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge. Eric with a C.
Oh.
An interesting choice.
They should have a mashup, like an Avengers style, with Eric with a K, Eric with a Q-U-E, and Eric with a C.
And that might then become the worst version of Phantom I've ever seen.
Phantom of the Multiverse.
This is sort of like my Expendables version of
Broadway.
Of Broadway.
So next chronologically, and I think also experientially for all of us, is Phantom on Broadway, which opened in 1986 originally, but we all saw it decades later. So that is the music by Andrew Lloyd Webber, very famous. Chandelier go down, it go up, it go down again.
Sick guitar riffs.
Sick guitar. It has exactly one rock and roll song in it because it was the 80s and that's what they did. Is there anything in particular from this version that we want to call out? Alex, you watched a different take on it.
Does my viewing of the Royal Albert Hall, does that count?
It counts, yeah.
Okay, so just very quickly, I am not a huge Andrew Lloyd Webber fan. I do like Jesus Christ Superstar.
It's controversial.
That's about it.
You're not a big Cats guy?
I don't like Cats.
No Bad Cinderella?
I don't like Xanadu. I don't like Bad Cinderella.
He did Xanadu?
I think so.
Did he also do Starlight Express?
He did.
That's what I'm
Starlight
thinking
Express.
of. That's what I'm thinking of.
Does anyone like Bad Cinderella?
No.
Anyways, yeah, so with the exception of Jesus Christ Superstar, I'm not a huge Lloyd Webber fan. However, I really enjoyed this.
Oh.
These songs are catchy as heck.
These songs slap.
He was tempted by the Angel of Music.
The music of the night.
I really, really liked it. Yeah, I don't know how much we want to get into it now, but yeah.
I think this is, since it's our primary Phantom for most of us, this is the one we can get into the most. It is, instead of a horror, it's more of a romance? Question mark?
Romantic drama.
Point.
Tragedy?
Shakespeare.
So in this one, there is the Phantom and Christine and Raoul. No Philippe.
No
Inspector.
Persian. He's replaced instead by Madame Giry.
Who is in some of the other versions, but less important. But the Phantom is still just a strange man in the basement, but he has more of a like romantic
Well, he's not set up as a villain in this film so much. Well, he's not a
Murder.
he's not a monster like in the 20s.
He's just a guy who does
He's a tragic
murder.
figure. There is a bit of he's more sympathetic character than in the 20s version. He is described. There's very little backstory they give you in the film, but all they say is he's an escaped convict and a mastermind, like a criminal mastermind genius, and then he goes and kills people almost immediately. So, he's set up to be a monster in the originals because it's a horror movie, but now because they're adding a romantic element, his backstory changes. He's now disfigured at birth. He had neglectful parents, right? If I'm getting any of this wrong, help me out.
That's pretty much it.
And then he was kind of shunned from society and just tinkered in the basement basically for decades, and
sort of protected by Madame Giry, a character we haven't discussed yet, but she runs the ballet in the opera house.
Oh, this reminds me. In the original film, I don't know if they mentioned this in the musical, the previous owners of the opera house, when they hand over the deed to the new owners, said that they were paying the Phantom 20,000 francs a month or something, or a year.
He expects his salary.
What is he spending that money on?
In the 1920s?
How much is 20,000 francs?
That's a lot now.
Is it?
Hang on. I'm going back to
Meg, let us know. But this is also something that does change from version to version. How much the owners of the opera house are aware of and or interact with him, and whether the relationship is like contentious or not. I guess theirs isn't if they're paying him to be down there killing their employees.
Well, in the musical, they're expected to pay the Phantom.
Oh, that's right.
They say like, oh, he expects his salary of whatever it is.
When does the show actually take place?
In like the 1870s, 80s, yeah.
Split it, 75.
And then one of the reasons that he like loses his mind
is the new owners want to cut him off.
They don't pay him. Mm-hmm. But what is he buying?
His true motivation. Yeah, what is he
buying?
I guess all those candles.
He doesn't leave.
Is he getting Grubhub sent down to the basement?
We're not sponsored by Grubhub.
All those candles, the boat, probably.
He's got a huge boat, the organ.
Mm-hmm. Got to get that bad boy tuned.
The wedding dress.
All right, while Meg is doing some research on how much 20,000 francs is today.
Cape.
It's roughly $587,360 US.
Yeah. No wonder Broadway's going broke.
He has a lot to do and that they just don't appreciate.
He's skulking.
Such as skulking.
What happens to all this money?
Cape work.
Cape work.
A lot of cape work.
That is easily $500,000.
To get a fine cape like that, and then he just walks through water all the time with it.
He does need to replace the mask occasionally.
Yeah.
It's like ballerinas replacing their point shoes.
Mm-hmm. He's got to break in the mask.
The capes. The masks.
Watch, he has like a foundation. He's like sponsoring underprivileged children to be playwrights.
It's probably that's what he did for Christine.
He saves up and buys that freak show, his ethical freak show in Love Never Dies.
So that's the sequel that we
I'm not emotionally prepared to talk about Love Never Dies.
But essentially the plot beats of this version that are important that will, I think, stick around for the rest of what we're going to talk about. The Phantom is training Christine in singing because he is a musical prodigy for some reason. So she comes down into his lair all the time to take singing lessons, and then everyone else in the opera is confused about why she's suddenly so good at singing.
But she thinks that he's an angel sent by her father or her father.
Yeah, that's what my take was, the angel of her father.
Unclear, because there is a scene in a graveyard where she thinks she's talking to her father, and it is the Phantom.
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But then there are weird romantic overtones where he like presents her with a wedding dress. Clearly he's feeling very romantic towards her. Sometimes she's feeling it in return, depending on what actors are performing or, the interpretation of the director. But as with the rest of the versions, when she sees his face under the mask, she no longer is interested, and then tries to run away, and hijinks ensue.
Something I think is interesting is I believe in this version, her father was a violinist, which I thought of when you were talking about the 1943 version, where Eric
is a violinist.
Oh.
I wonder if they took that from
He is apparently supposed to be much older than her in the show, but they never pick actors who are...
Because they want the Phantom to be hot.
Yes.
For the viewers.
Yes.
The grotesque man must be hot.
He must be hot.
Well, that helps set up the love triangle.
It does. Because frequently, in the real world outside of the show, people who have played Raoul will grow up to play the Phantom when they're older.
I'm just imagining like a 25-year-old actor growing up
To a
43-year-old actor. A 35-year-old actor.
When I grow up,
I want to be the Phantom. So that is common. So, usually Raoul has to be handsome. So then now the Phantom is handsome. I have heard...
Phantom.
And cut.
Giving that the space that it needs. They are potentially planning a remake of the movie, I heard. And Andrew Lloyd Webber has said that they would like to cast the Phantom in a more age-appropriate way, like an actual older-than-her man, to have the dynamic be.
Okay, but in the 2004 version, Emmy Rossum is like 17 and Gerard Butler is like 35.
So do we want to skip to
so how is Andrew Lloyd Webber going to make that more of an age gap?
But they really need to remove him from the movie.
My close personal friend, Andy.
Well, actually, before we get to the 2004 movie, we can insert what Meg and I saw just a few nights ago, which is another musical, not by Andrew Lloyd Webber, from 1991. So, they shouldn't have done it because there just was a popular one. It's called Phantom.
And instead it is by Maury Yustin.
And Arthur Kopit. So this is sort of like a middle ground between the 1929 movie / the book and the musical that everyone loves. But if you take all of the worst parts and sort of smash them together, that's what this is.
So this is like the equivalent of those rushed like B horror movies that come out like to coincide with the popular release, like Jurassic World Rebirth, is like the big hit, and they'll like rush out like Jurassic Island Redemption or something to kind of trick people to watch it, I guess.
It would be like that if there was also a lot more music that is somehow so much worse than what is in the popular version.
And also, I think, unfortunately, it wasn't rushed because the people who wrote this musical were like people who have received accolades in musical theater. Like, I believe their previous show was nominated for or won like a Best Musical Tony. So, like, they did try.
So it's more like an Armageddon Deep Impact sort of thing, like two like parallel ideas.
So how do you explain this version?
Before I say anything, I would like to be very clear that I think the production that we saw, the production itself was fantastic. The set design was really creative. They did a very nice job with it. The actors, I thought, were very talented. The singing that we heard was great, even though I did not enjoy the music itself. Like, all in all, the performance itself was very good.
They did the best they could with the material.
The show is the worst show I've ever seen. And I know that on the podcast, there's been a lot of discussion of plays and musicals across the board, and my experience is not as prolific as some of my colleagues, but I have seen a good fair amount of theater in my time, and this is the worst by far.
Also, I've seen a lot of shows, and it's
Wow.
pretty bad.
How many people in the audience, I'm sorry, do you think were expecting the Phantom of the Opera?
I think, unfortunately, at least some.
And there were some confused looks amongst the crowd.
Well, I think if you didn't know the original Phantom at all, how would you know?
True.
There were a lot of people in the crowd who were very into it. And again, it was a great production. This was also like an 8 p.m. showing on a Wednesday night. Nearly a packed house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Toward the end of this run of this show.
It was one of the last few performances. And I saw a production of this about 10 years ago at a different local theater. And I blocked it from my memory totally. I did not remember any of it. And so now I understand why. So some important parts of this version, I feel like I started to block it out now, actually.
Already?
So they're at the Paris Opera.
No auction scene at the beginning.
No auction
which
scene.
is my favorite scene, as we've already established, of the entire show.
There's a lot of actually very different characterizations. So Eric lives in the basement but interacts with people freely. Like, he comes up and will talk to people. He invites people down. They talk to him.
They're only allowed down if he invites them.
These are my skulls.
It's like a reverse vampire.
Yeah. He actually has a very wide selection of masks also. I think every time we saw Eric,
He had a different mask.
yep, some were sparkly.
One had
Sounds
fake blood
really
coming out of the
good
eyes.
so far.
So he primarily interacts with the guy who owns the joint, who was named Gerard Carrier, who's not in any other version. And I'm spoiler alert for this entire musical that I don't think anyone is going to see. It's never been on Broadway, if that tells you anything. So Gerard Carrier sort of has taken care of him, made sure that he's okay down there, and is his dad.
Gerard also did make a point in telling the audience, though, that he believed that Eric saw him as some kind of uncle.
He doesn't think that Eric knows that he's his dad. His mother has died. This one provides a lot of backstory for him, which is not the usual backstory that we get, which is that he was born with his face like that. His mom loved him and thought he was beautiful, but his mom died, and then his dad took care of him.
And on day one of his dad taking care of him, he saw his own reflection in the lagoon. The lagoon that is below the opera house.
Yeah, this tracks.
Yes. And thought it was a sea monster and screamed.
His own face.
His own face. He thought it was a sea monster.
I'm tearing up right now.
Yeah.
It's tragic.
And so the guy who he thought was just his uncle or something.
Some kind of uncle.
Gave him a mask that he then wore for the rest of his life.
Wow.
Christine is introduced. She's in the streets a la Belle from Beauty and the Beast. She is painting. No, she's not painting. She's singing a song. Literally, she wrote a song. And Philippe, who is back, the brother of Raoul, hears her singing in the street and tells her to go to the opera house to become a real opera singer. But he is a ladies' man. He's got several women on his arm, but he truly only has eyes for her. This is all really different from every other version.
He just walks up and is like, "Get thee to the opera house."
He does.
Here's my card. Go see, what's the guy's name?
The dad, Gerard Carrier.
Go see Gerard, my guy. He'll make sure that you get singing lessons. And then she shows up at the opera house just as we learn that Gerard has been fired and the new owners of the opera house want nothing to do with him. And instead, they are going to become in charge of the opera.
This is like being discovered at the mall to be a model.
Yeah.
But then you go and it turns out that it's actually a scam. But she becomes like the wardrobe person for the opera, but then just sings in the background. And that is how the Phantom hears her and becomes obsessed with her. This, I think, was honestly the most plausible romantic relationship between a Phantom and a Christine in any version that I've seen. They truly do seem to love each other, and it seems like a possible actual relationship could develop between them. They go on a picnic underground.
He reads her poetry.
The poetry reveals his true self to her, but the usual happens, and he shows her his face, and it's too disgusting.
Well, he shows her his face after she sings an entire song begging him to show his face, and he's like, "I really don't want to do that. This is fine for me. Our relationship can stay as it is." And she's like, "No, I love you. Show me your face." And unsurprisingly, she does not love what she sees.
None of this sounds bad to me, I'll be honest. The songs must be pretty atrocious.
It's all of it.
Okay.
It's really all of it. I think in the context of that this week we did see a pretty good production of the popular musical. This was markedly worse. He does get shot at the end by his own dad.
Oof.
Who then reveals that he's the dad. He loves Christine also because Christine looks and sounds like his mom. And there's a painting of the mom on the bed that she sleeps in.
A theme we're really quickly about to learn is that I really am deeply uncomfortable with anything involving a bed in this show as a whole.
Yeah.
And so when Christine is first brought down to his lair in this version, like
his domain, he calls
his
it.
domain. She was singing on stage and she'd actually been poisoned, I believe, by someone who's jealous of her. And so to rescue her, he brings her down and she's unconscious and like lays her on this bed that has a portrait of a woman that everyone assumes is Christine. And that was wild. Tory and I are looking at each other in the audience, horrified. And then as the scene continues, we come to learn that it's not Christine, but his mother, painted on the headboard of presumably his bed.
Does this still sound good to you?
Maybe it's just my male perspective. This is just all standard
This is how you do it.
This is all standard courting.
This is how you woo a lady.
Oh, no.
What I'm hearing is Alex is a giant painting of his mother above his bed.
And his wife loves it.
Well, we already know how he proposed. Will you marry Eric?
But yes, so that it does end. He does die very, very permanently.
With a bullet.
Yes, with several bullets.
Yeah. And the way other characters died, I don't know about the other films, but there seems to be a lot of nooses.
The Punjab lasso.
Mm-hmm.
There was electrocution and guns in this version.
You can't do this to get rid of that.
No, unfortunately, no. Holding your hand up does not help.
There's an important element in the 1920s. This is for the listeners. In the 1920s movie and in the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, where Eric the Phantom uses something called a Punjab lasso, which I don't think is a okay term anymore. And it's a noose, and he will drop it down on your head and strangle you to death. So if you are warned about walking around in his domain, you will be told to keep your hand at the level of your face, because then if they drop the lasso on you, you can just move your arm and it won't choke you. Out. And importantly, some characters forget to do this. Raoul.
That does not help against the way characters died in this version.
No, because it was just guns.
No, and she fully got electrocuted on the stairs. It was crazy.
I told you I blocked it out.
The gasping.
And Christine does sing him a beautiful song to lead him into the afterlife. So they do get one more moment together. And he's not even wearing his mask.
So touching.
A mother's love.
I gotta see this. I would love a reproduction of this where they lean into like a comedy. Like it's like a Rocky Horror.
They did.
There was one point at the very beginning when I looked and I said, is this supposed to be a comedy? And we do believe it was.
Like some true slapstick moments.
Yeah. Derogatory.
It can be done. I think the core is there. Anyways,
for a comedy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is one of the funniest plot lines in all of cinema. I want to say the poisoning. Was it Carlotta? We haven't mentioned Carlotta.
I felt that maybe it was too late to
mention Carlotta. Carlotta is a fantastic character.
She is.
I figured we would talk about her when we talked about the 2004 version.
Yes. So she and her husband become the owners of the opera house in this version. And she wants to make herself the star of the show. Obviously, Kristina's more talented than her. She gets jealous. She slips something into her drink before the performance.
In a comedic way.
Yes.
I do want to mention, before we move on to the Butler thing, the Phantom of the Opera does have a lot of comedy in it.
Yes.
Even going back to the 20s version. Like, the whole first act of the 20s version is basically a comedy. You know, the stage manager or something, I forget what his character is, but he's like played straight for laughs.
There's like very Stooges quality to it.
Exactly, yeah. And then in the Andrew Lloyd Webber version, Carlotta gets a lot of the laughs.
I think Carlotta is usually the comedic relief of any production. Yeah. Except in this one where a lot of other stuff was comedic.
But she was still a primarily comedic character. And she was the one who got electrocuted, which I think in a way was also sort of meant to be funny.
She did do like a...
Yeah.
Wow.
She sure did.
Imagine with like a good budget, you can show her skeleton when she gets electrocuted.
So I think both of us would like to move on forever from this version.
Like truly forever.
So let's hit this 2004 Gerard Butler nonsense, which I haven't seen. So you guys can tell me all about it.
Okay.
Well, much like your Phantom, this movie has been completely erased from my memory.
It starts with the auction scene still, for some reason.
Okay, we're in familiar territory.
And instead of just sort of dropping it, as the musical kind of does, it is sort of left as a framing device through the whole movie. And it's basically, Andrew Lloyd Webber was like, what if I made my own musical better somehow? And he sort of rearranged some parts. He added a backstory, like an extensive backstory for the Phantom, involving Madame Giry rescuing him from the freak show that he was a part of. And also the monkey, that's very important throughout the whole show, was also rescued from the freak show.
The toy monkey was rescued?
So, okay, so in this version, he has like a stuffed monkey that he's like holding on to so in this one, he gets like the freak show aspect of it is just him in a cage being beaten by a man.
That's a show, I guess.
I don't think we've really explained the freak show up until this point yet, have we?
I don't think it's come up before.
I don't think I think this is the origination of the freak show aspect. Like, I think it may have been like a one-off comment in other, like Madame Giry just sort of saying like, oh, and I rescued him from the freak show. Whereas this like shows the whole...
Explores the freak show.
Sequence.
Before we continue, can I just say, this 2004 movie is feeling to me like the George Lucas and Phantom Menace of the Phantom of the Opera universe.
How dare you?
I don't mean that in a bad way.
Okay, go on.
Like, where
Andrew Lloyd Webber is the George Lucas.
The George Lucas, and he was like,
Yes.
I have better, I can fix this better.
This is why I said earlier that someone needs to like wrestle control away from him, because he also has sanctioned crazy sequels to it that all use his ideas in different ways. But so the monkey, so he's a stuffed monkey, and then unclear how that translates to the, you know, the clapping monkey, but they're connected somehow.
They're both there.
No, that clapping monkey isn't there at all.
Oh.
Unclear how the two are related. So it follows essentially those same beats as the musical, except it's rearranged. So like the big chandelier falling is the climax of the film instead of like halfway through it. Minnie Driver plays Carlotta, and she's amazing. Perhaps the only amazing part of the movie. Gerard Butler is the Phantom.
Famous singer Gerard Butler.
He took what I believe to be between 4 and 6 singing lessons in order to become a musical prodigy, which is crazy because they use his real singing voice, but like they dub over Minnie Driver. So dubbing him over was an option that they just chose not to take. So unclear why that happens. Raoul's Patrick Wilson, and he also actually does a really fantastic job of making Raoul likable. I think in the other he's just kind of there. He's bland, but in this he's very sympathetic. Christina's Emmy Rossum, and she's fine, I guess.
She also does do her own singing.
She does do her own singing, yes. Everyone but Minnie Driver does their own singing.
Minnie Driver, who is a singer.
Yeah, but she's not an opera singer, so she's playing Carlotta. So it's hard. I guess she can't do that to the extent to which they needed.
I found it interesting that Gerard Butler was cast. He was an unknown, basically, right? Like this was like his first, yeah. So like, how did he get this role? Like, I just don't, because he's not a singer.
You know, that does pose a lot of questions.
He's not an A-list actor. Like, how did he must have had a fantastic audition.
They didn't want someone who was famous in it. Andrew Lloyd Webber very specifically said it has to be an unknown.
Which I think does work well for that role, because then you as a viewer are so even more mystified by the character.
Yeah.
But the singing, though.
It's, all in all, it's a strange film. It makes a lot of choices, and a lot of them aren't good. Even watching it, like, is hard. There's a Masquerade scene, famous Masquerade, where a guy just vogues.
They did that in the 1800s.
Joel Schumacher was he liked to take elements of like popular culture, things that were going on, and incorporate them into his movies. Like that, he did the worst Batman movie, and it's very of its time. Okay.
Well, there's another episode.
Anyways, Joel Schumacher also makes some questionable choices. Who directed this film?
Yes, all of them are incredibly questionable. And then in this one, I guess the climax of the movie is Christine performing an opera that the Phantom has written for her. That's always the climax, I guess. It's Don Juan Triumphant, not Don Quixote, as I learned today.
Very important distinction.
She had some confusion.
Apparently, I've been very confused for almost a decade about what was occurring in the show. But anyway, there are like tango dancers all around them, and like there are just so many people around. And when he kidnaps Christine, he just like grabs her arm and is like, "Let's go."
So that's very different from the staged version of this musical where he's performing like with her.
Oh, he is performing with her.
Are they doing Point of No Return?
Yes.
Okay.
They're doing
with tango.
Yes.
Okay.
Famous
a song that
tango
famously
song.
lends itself to tango.
Yeah. And then, he ties up Raoul weirdly in the basement when he comes to try to rescue.
Because he doesn't put his arm up, his hand up next to his face.
That's not really how he does it in this one.
That is what they say, though, in the music.
He, ties him up to a metal, a grate, the grate that opens for him to get into the...
This is, unlocking a crazy memory.
I forgot to talk about something very important. He, ties him up, and then he wraps the noose around him. So he's tied to a stationary object, and the Phantom is holding the noose and just walking around like a crazy man. So I don't know what his goal was, because he certainly wasn't going to hang Raoul this way. When the Phantom brings Christine down into his domain, in this version, it's, water, lots of water.
The
lagoon, there's a boat, and from the water rise up candlesticks, just hundreds of candles from the water itself. You can see the water draining off of it, because in the Broadway show
they also do that.
They do that, but because you're seeing a change of scenery, so it makes sense in the show. No one is like, wow, candles coming up. He's got these waterproof candles, this Phantom.
Are they alight when they come up from the water?
Yes.
Meg is showing us a photo of him tied up with the noose.
Just so we can all visualize. Also, he's not wearing his mask.
Yes, I think Christine has demasked him.
Yeah.
Again. Oh, yeah, she demasks
at
him
this
in
point
the show.
In the show, yes.
Yeah, that's the climax and why he kidnaps her. And then the movie ends with Patrick Wilson as Raoul as an old man at Christine's grave. And then we see it we see it's Christine's grave. He's still alive, even though I think he's also many years older than her. And there's a little something left by the Phantom so that Raoul knows that he's still watching.
Even older elderly man, the Phantom?
Yes.
Huh. And this is his improvement of the stage musical?
Yes. So I guess certain elements have to be added to kind of make what he decided to do after work better.
But 100-year-old Phantom visiting the grave?
I don't know. It's weird because there are points where it'll sort of flash back to Raoul traveling from the auction to Christine's grave, where he stops by a Swarovski crystal shop and sees a ring that looks like the engagement ring he gave her. It's weird.
I keep thinking I need to watch the movie, but maybe I'm okay, actually.
I think if you're a Phantom head, you must watch it.
Is that what the fans are called?
No, they're called
the fans. PHANS.
Yeah. Meg, what about this enthralled you and your siblings?
That's a really wonderful question, especially because in trying to find the image of the grate with the noose, I was reminded that this film is rated PG-13, and I was far from 13, and as the youngest of said siblings, I do have a lot of questions for my parents. Mostly, I don't even know how we stumbled upon this movie, because my parents enjoy a musical, but I doubt either one of them was drawn to watch this. So I can't imagine it was a family movie night type situation. I don't know. But it was great. We loved it for some reason.
It brought you here today.
It brought me here today.
For
better or for worse.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Meg's parents.
Shout out.
Shall we make the leap to the final version?
Yeah, I think it's important.
So the last version we watched was Andrew Lloyd Webber has threatened us again. He has opened an immersive...
I would also like to say we didn't watch it. We experienced it.
Lived it.
We were in it, especially Meg.
Mm-hmm. Only Meg, really.
But we went to an immersive production of Phantom of the Opera that is currently in previews in New York City, where you go in and you're in the show and it's happening around you and to you.
Mm-hmm. Emphasis on to you.
Emphasis on to Meg.
To me.
But in brevity, I will say a lot of the elements are similar to the movie and the musical, just sort of fleshed out and chopped and screwed, moved around a little bit. You get to go to the freak show, I think is maybe the most notable part, and interact with the freak show and be in the freak show. They will pour popcorn on your face.
After they took away your drinks.
They're eating fire. And meanwhile, Eric is in a cage with a bag on his head.
But also... baby Eric, adult Eric is lurking around, glowering at people.
He will show up next to you.
He will make eye contact with you.
He might
while
even
standing
pull you.
inches from your face.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you do get to see him actively suffering, but also being saved and becoming the stand-up citizen that he is as a grown man.
And again, I would like to really shout out the production itself. The actors did a really fantastic job, and just like the way that show came together, the sets and all of the moving parts were just so well done and really interesting. It's an art building. It was in the city, an old art shop, studio situation. And as you're experiencing the immersive experience, you're really moving around this entire building. And they use the space really, really creatively in the scene that we talked about before, where the Phantom is watching Raoul and Christine together on a rooftop. You are literally on the roof of that building, which I thought was really creative, but also incredibly overwhelming as an audience, I was going to say audience member, but really as a participant in the experience.
As a performer.
I personally was performing in it. I did not get paid. Instead, I paid quite a bit of money.
Meg got to play the piano for Christine's first performance in the show.
Wow.
And in reward, Christine presented her with a letter later in the show.
How many people are in the audience for this?
Around 50.
All right, so there's 50 people kind of shuffling through this building?
They do split you up into groups.
Okay.
That was not made clear at the beginning either.
So they guide us. They don't shuffle. Like, we're not left to our own devices at any point.
Even when we want to be.
Yeah, we're often either, I don't want to say locked into a room, but we are closed into a room that is guarded by a cast member or staff member, or we're being guided around by someone who is performing.
So Madame Giry, that actress, kind of took on the role as like our experience leader for the evening. So she kind of introduced herself at the beginning, and then as we witnessed certain things happening between the Phantom and Christine, sometimes the Phantom would be like, "Follow me," but then other times Madame Giry would stand there and be like, "Go."
Yeah. Or sometimes
almost exactly
sometimes
like
it's Raoul.
Sometimes Christine is telling you to run.
Sometimes,
yeah, she did that to me after giving me a letter,
which does give an unusual tilt to the story, because there's scenes where they acknowledge that you're there, but realistically you wouldn't be, like in the Phantom's bedroom or something, and then like he hands you something and you're like, you know I'm here, but it's just him and Christine. Like it's an interesting, I guess they didn't want to decide whether to acknowledge if you're there or not, since it is immersive, and it'd be weird if they were handing you things if they didn't know.
But then the end of the show, I thought what they were trying to do, so we had to wear masquerade masks the whole time that we were in the show.
The name of the show is Masquerade.
Yes,
I don't know
Masquerade.
that we ever said that.
So we had to wear masquerade masks the whole time. And at the end of the show, after everything that happens, Christine is gone, Raoul's gone, and the Phantom is just up there living with his life choices. And they tell us all to take off our masks finally at the end, so that the Phantom can gaze upon all of our faces. And I guess learn a lesson about
faces.
And for many people in that audience, it was a very emotional moment. And not to yuck anyone's yum, but there were a lot of people crying in that moment. They were so moved by
Eric's story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Doesn't sound like any of you three were.
I wouldn't say I was not moved, but I did already know.
Emotionally moved, I mean. I know you were shuffled around.
They shoved me around there.
Move it.
I don't think it was the most like touching version of it that I've seen. Like, even though we were immersed in it, I felt removed from it because I was so paying attention to everything going around me. So I think for me, it's easier to get into this story seeing it on a stage. Like, I remember seeing it on Broadway. I was very like impressed and in the moment that time. But this time I was like, where is he going to pop up? What's going to go on? Like, too busy being immersed.
There was also other parts of the immersiveness that were weird, because this show was sort of playing on the fact that maybe Christine is actually really interested in the Phantom, and everything that happens is because she's so torn between like what she's going to do, as opposed to being like literally afraid for her life. So we get to see a lot of strange bits from the show. Intimate moments that were weird, and we're just present for them and just have to accept the fact that like this is happening at us.
It was the most overstimulating experience.
It was incredibly
of my entire life.
But still very cool.
Sure.
I really did enjoy it. It doesn't sound like I enjoyed it, but I really did. There was just always a lot going on, and because they rearranged the story again in a different way, it was just mildly confusing. So sometimes part of the overwhelming part of it was trying to figure out what the hell was going on at some points.
There is a lot, because you're there, they leave some things unexplained. So this is the kind of show where it would behoove you to already be familiar with the story. Maybe watch any of the other versions we've talked about.
Or all of them.
All of them. Maybe not the 1943 one, but they don't explicitly tell you everything that's about to happen. And then if you do know the story, you're waiting for things to happen, and they happen at an unusual place.
Yes.
Or you miss them, because also as you're being ushered around, 50 people can't witness the same thing in the same room. Being able to see all the details that they're trying to express. So there were multiple points in the show where the audience is broken up into different groups, and the three of us all went together. And there were multiple points where the three of us were all away from each other. And when we were trying to debrief afterward, we realized that we all saw three very different things in what was supposed to be the same scene, which was interesting. So literally everyone who goes is going to get a very different experience.
Which is kind of cool.
Which is kind of cool, but also as someone who, I very intentionally went in completely blind to this. And I think that was part of where the overstimulation came from, because I did not anticipate a big chunk of what was coming.
Sounds interesting. I've never done anything like this, but are there a lot of actors in every scene? Is it supposed to be you can look at every character, they're all kind of working on something?
Sometimes, in the aforementioned freak show, there's things going on in every corner of the room. And there were so many people in the room that you kind of once you walked in, you were stuck in the spot you were in. So you couldn't explore too much. You're allowed, but it would be difficult. But some rooms, there's one character. There was a scene where Madame Giry brought us, and she did a little puppet show to explain some plot things that were happening so that those actors could be elsewhere doing something else. So sometimes it's one-on-one. Sometimes it's experiential things happening in a room. You're at a party or something like that. So it depended on the scene, and they did it, planned it very intentionally so that the show would flow and the actors could strategize and be in different places at different times.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, when you're seeing a traditional play or musical, there's sometimes a curtain raise, and now the audience is focusing on one character. It's funny how it's interesting how they would account for that, where as you're moving people into a room, I'm sure they're starting acting already. Yes. The scene's already begun. Yes.
And they are counting, because we got separated from Tory at one point where they literally slammed a door in my face, and I was like, oh my God, Tory. So we got separated. And then in the scene where the three of us were in different rooms, there were only 10 people or so in each room. And we saw the same thing, just in a different order. But that also meant that the last thing we saw before that was all totally different.
Also, speaking to the question you just asked and the crowd, the movement through the space, sometimes if you ended up at the back of the crowd and the scene is already beginning in front of you, you're missing something that's happening. This happened to me a few times, but sometimes they arranged it so that you still would see something unique because you were in the back. So at one point we were coming down from the roof, and there's a scene going on with Christine and Raoul singing a song, and I was in the back waiting for people to move down the stairs, and the Phantom was there next to the stairs acting all spooky, which you wouldn't see unless you were standing in the back watching everyone else go down the stairs. So he was creeping on all of them. So they would stick in little things like that, so even if you weren't in the right place at the right time, there still was something to see. It was very well thought out and planned.
Yeah, even the freak show, we had all ended up in one room, and
it's all about the freak
This episode has the record for most freak show drops. And
I'm sorry, it was literally traumatizing for me.
Was
the room was
very
roughly 8,000 degrees. There's a man directly on stage in front of us who's pretending to do scissor tricks.
He wasn't pretending. He was hammering nails into his nostrils.
I was not looking. But then in other parts of the room, people were being given, I think someone was handing out shots of cognac. We did not get to meet that man.
And also, if you went into a different corner of the room and talked to Eric in his cage, you could be given a bracelet.
Oh?
This is something that I've heard happen to another person, but nobody did it during our show. So depending on how you interact with the show, you can also receive or experience different things.
At one point, I was handed a rope that he later took from me. Madame Giry handed me a rope, and then Eric took it from me, and then in the very next scene, he used said rope to strangle someone.
Meg was really, really involved in the plot of the show. Yes.
You supplied the murder weapon.
I did. I supplied the murder weapon. I played the piano. I was handed a letter. In the freak show room where I was having a really terrible time, the ringleader of the show came and put his arm around me.
Yeah.
And then the Phantom glared at me about it.
The freak show was particularly traumatizing because I had been concerned the whole time about fire exits. Because we're trapped in this building that we're just going up, 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 up. Like, how are we leaving if there's a fire? And so I just had this vision of us all dying in a fire. And there was a man there who was like literally swallowing fire. But the ceiling was like this far above his head and he was breathing fire. And it was...
Christina's, for the listener, inches above his head is what you're...
Not far above his head
Not
at all.
very... Like, it was so close. Like, it was like...
It really was. And his handler did have a fire extinguisher, but also that felt alarming. Because that was clearly not of the 1875?
Yeah, it was a bucket of water. So they had to keep it period specific.
They should have hid the fire extinguisher in the bucket of water and then have it rise out like the candles in the film.
But interesting that they were able to get like real like people who do this for a living incorporated into the show.
I did see one of them when we were separated at one point. I saw him coming to work and I thought, because his face was painted grotesquely, and I thought, is that man coming behind me to scare me? Is that Beetlejuice or something? And it wasn't. He was just going to hammer some nails into his
walking into that room, I don't know where you were at this point, Tory.
I was throwing a hoop onto a woman.
Yes,
no, before the hoop. Before we got into that room, it was Kristina and I were more or less by ourselves. And I have a very distinct memory of one of us saying that it felt like we were in a haunted house.
Oh, yes.
Because there were like mirrors and there were people in cages and it was just very disorienting. But then after we finally got to leave that room, the three of us ended up like overlooking the following scene. So a lot of people were sitting around watching young Eric in a cage. And we ended up on like, I don't even know how to describe what we were standing on. An overhang looking at this happen. And then the Phantom, adult Eric,
he joined us,
appeared and watched with us.
Hello, madame.
Yep, he said that in my ear.
Bonjour, madame.
So apparently the Hall of Mirrors is a callback to the book because the Phantom uses it as a torture device.
I felt it.
Oh, that wily rascal.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be disorienting to us because it was something that he used to disorient people. Mm-hmm. Wow. They don't explain that at all.
That's a deep cut for the real fans, PHAN.
He has a lot of traps and mechanisms and things in the 20s version.
He's got like holes in the floor that people are falling in.
Can we talk about that for 1 second? This is something I didn't want to skip over when we were talking about the 20s movies. The subterranean area beneath the opera house has so many layers. It's very interesting. There are about 3 layers.
5.
Before you get, the lagoon, the famous lagoon we've mentioned, is on like the 3rd basement of the opera house. There are at least 3 layers beneath the lagoon. How are there layers beneath water? Gravity pulls it to the bottom. Caves have water at the bottom. It's wild. It's wild. He's created an entire aqueduct system where he pulls levers and it floods certain compartments, which is a really cool scene.
He's got a whole boat.
This is, no wonder he has, what did he get, $500,000 a month? No wonder. That's where the budget's going.
He's hiring
civil engineers. There's a whole team.
The Cape budget is far smaller than we thought.
He does have quite a few things to spend on.
There are several scenes in the original film where the characters escape through a trap door that leads to another sub basement. It's that trick is used several times where I'm like, are they in the center of the earth now?
One of them was it was a slapstick scene. They fell and then they climbed back up and they fell again.
It's hilarious. One of the greatest comedies of the 20s.
The Phantom of the Opera.
The General, Buster Keaton's The General, and Phantom of the Opera. That's all I got.
What a strong note to maybe end on, ?
We've gone long.
Or we should end on encouraging people to check out the sequels to Phantom of the Opera.
Multiple sequels?
So Andrew Lloyd Webber authorized a book called The Phantom of Manhattan, which is sort of what Love Never Dies, the musical sequel to Phantom of the Opera, is based on.
And they are both unhinged.
And they're incredibly unhinged. I won't talk about anything that happens to them, but you should watch them.
There is a callback to the guns from 1991 Phantom.
There are.
And on that note,
any final thoughts on...
Final P.
Are there any PH final thoughts on the Phantom?
what a guy.
Truly one of a kind. R.I.P. I assume.
Question mark.
Question mark.
The end? Question mark?
Well, I think that's all. We've said all there could possibly be said about the Phantom.
Check him out.
Yeah, thank you all for coming on the episode today, and thank you for inspiring me to finally watch the musical. I really enjoyed it.
Wow.
You're so welcome.
And you enjoyed the 1929. You enjoy the Phantom.
I do. I'm a fan. No.
And on that note, we'll see you next time between the shelves.